Hello and welcome to the VonderKnits podcast, episode number 13. My name is Kayla and I am your host on this knitting, crocheting, and making YouTube channel. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me today. It is Tuesday, January 30th, 2024, and I have got some finished objects to share with you. I've got like one work in progress, and I'm excited just to talk about what I've been up to. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and if that sounds like something you're interested in, please hang around. Before we jump into the finished objects, if you would like to follow me elsewhere on the internet, I can be found on Instagram as VonderKnits and on Ravelry as Kayla VonderKnit. Hooray! Okay. Oh, I do want to say as well that I started the VonderKnits podcast 1 year ago this month. It's kind of crazy. It's really exciting. So I'm just glad that I have been able to chat with some people who also enjoy fiber the way I do, and just it's been really neat. It's been a different thing that I wanted to try for a few years, and I don't know, fear holding me back, but I've made it a year and that's really cool. So hooray, thank you for being here with me. I'm gonna get a sip of coffee because I'm a little under the weather. I don't know if I'm sick again or if it's allergies, but nonetheless, I have some coffee in my Breath of the Wild mug. There's Link. But, yep. Okay. We are going to start with finished objects, the first one being what I'm wearing. I will take a step back and then I will talk about it. Oh. I flashed you my Edward and Bella oversized t-shirt. This cardigan is the Oversized Seasons cardigan. It is a pattern by Ozetta, and I really love this cardigan. I've been wearing it over leggings and over t-shirts. Sorry, the cats are going to be menaces today. I did make this out of Joann's Big Twist Tweed yarn, and the color is white. It is 100% acrylic yarn, and and yeah, it's a half fisherman's ribbed cardigan. I really like it. It's awesome. I did knit it in the needle sizes that it is called for in the pattern. I did use the sewn bind off, which this was my first time doing the sewn bind off, and I really love it. I think I'm going to start using it more frequently. I made the size 5, which I believe is for a 45-inch bust, maybe. We're working with a 46-inch over here. So I made the size that was like suggested and including for the ease. And then the only difference I made was I don't know, you can't see. It does call for like a repeat in the body to where you have 4 buttons, and I added an extra repeat to give it 5 buttons, so it would be a little bit longer. So yeah, or else it would have stopped about here, but I wanted it to go a bit longer so I could tuck it under with leggings. I'm really glad that I decided to make it longer. I really like this cardigan. It feels really classic. It's awesome and lofty and squishy. When I was making it, I was a bit confused, but that was on me because I've never done half fisherman's rib, but it's fine. I figured it out, and it's a great cardigan, and I really like it. Excuse me, I have a cough and just fuzzies floating around from knitting. Yeah, the Oversized Seasons cardigan. It is a worsted weight yarn as well. I don't know if I mentioned that. Okay, so we did travel, and when you're traveling, the best thing to bring along with you is sock yarn to make socks. So we've got 3 pairs of finished socks. I'll start with this pair because it has both colors in it. All of the socks I'm going to talk about as well were knit on a 24-inch Chiaogu red lace needle, US size 1, 2.25 millimeter. That was just the easiest for me to take in the airport to knit with. But the yarn is so pretty. So this yarn was gifted to me for Christmas from my kiddos. So I went ahead and made socks for them because they picked out the yarn and had so much fun at our local yarn store with my husband shopping. So yeah, they were excited to pick out yarn for mom, and then I'm going to surprise them with socks. So my daughter picked out this colorway, which is West Yorkshire Spinners in Nutcracker. And it is sparkly. And it is a, I want to say 80-20 blend of BFL and nylon. So it does feel a bit grippier and toothier. I don't have the tags. I don't know where they went. I think they got lost in the travel. But, but yeah, the colorway is Nutcracker. And then my son picked out this red, and it is Rouge. It's the West Yorkshire Spinners in Rouge. And it's also the BFL nylon blend. So it's, I'm so sorry, the cats are playing. So it is a grippier yarn. I really like it for boot socks. This pair I knit for my daughter. I cast on 60 stitches for her, did 20 rounds of ribbing. I did do a pop of color at the top, a la Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady podcast. That way it was easier to line up my stripes that way. But yeah, I did like, I think 2 or 3 rounds of the color at the top, and then went in and finished with the 20 rounds of ribbing. I think I did 40 rounds down the leg, and then a heel flap in the contrasting red, and then just knit the foot back in the Nutcracker color. These are really cute. She's really excited for socks. She's outgrown all of her socks. She's cramming her foot into her small socks, and I told her I would make her new socks. So I am. That's one of my goals this year, is to make the kiddos some more socks. But yeah, it's so good. And for my son, he picked out the red color, so I knit him some solid red socks. He loves red socks and red hats. And there, yeah, here's his little red socks. Again, the West Yorkshire Spinners colorway in Rouge. And it is a 4-ply yarn, so it's nice and fat and round, and so it makes a thicker sock. 20 rounds of ribbing, 40 on the leg, heel flap, gusset, and then down the foot. I believe for his socks I cast on 56 stitches. Again, on the US size 1, 2.25 millimeter. I started with this pair of socks. I cast these on the night before we left. I only did a few rounds. And then I worked on these to the airport, on the planes. And then at some point when I finished these, I switched and cast on my daughter's socks. And then knit on these while we were traveling in a car and seeing people. And then I think I finished this while we were gone, and then cast on my socks, which I'll show you now. So I thought it would be nice if we all had kind of matchy Christmas socks. So these are for me. Again, the Rouge colorway, the Nutcracker colorway on a US size 1, 2.25 millimeter needle. I did cast on 64 stitches for myself, and I did just do an ankle sock because I wasn't sure how much yarn I would use for the foot. But I actually did 20 rounds of ribbing. Usually when I do an ankle sock for myself, I just do 10 rounds. But I wanted them a bit taller since they're thicker. So I did 20 rounds and then 10 on the leg. And then the heel flap gusset, down the foot, my normal wedge toe, 64 stitches. Yeah, Rouge and Nutcracker colorways. They're so cute. I really like them. But yeah, I started these, I want to say, at the second airport. Yeah, I want to say I knit, maybe it was the night before. Anyway, I knit like, I want to say I finished the first sock, and then I started the second one, and then I got to like here when we got home. When we got home, I was like here, and then I finished this sock at home. But yeah, so good. Traveling socks, I love, love, love. I love to take socks when we travel. They're so easy to travel with, and they're great for on a plane. And I just took both cakes of yarn, and I got like, you know, 3 pairs of socks, plus I had like 20 grams left of each, I think, which then went into my next finished object, which is a blanket. Coffee break because, you know, seasons. Okay, my next finished object is my Northeasterly Blanket, which is a pattern by Ellie of Skeinanigans. It's hard to show blankets. I'll do my best, but this is just scrap yarn that I've saved up over like 4 years. It's sock weight. It's a mixture of like some cashmere and silk in there, BFL, superwash, all mixed with nylon, some without. There's some like 100% superwash cashmere in here, some sparkles, some tweeds, some splatters. It's a little bit of everything, and I really like this blanket. My husband stole it because he was sick a few weekends ago, and I had just completed a stripe on it, and so he took it. And he was like, I really like this. I like how the weight on it. I don't know if I'll ever knit a fingering weight blanket again. It took forever. I think it's because I was just trying to force myself to finish it so I could knit other things that I just kind of got burnt out on it. But it is 72 inches long by 60 inches wide. So it's like a good sized throw. I wrapped myself up in it the past 2 nights and fallen asleep in our bed, and it's been awesome. So let me show it to you. Oh, it's heavy. Ah, yes. It's always awkward to show blankets. But yeah. So good. My kids have not stolen it yet, which is appreciated because I would like to enjoy my blankets. So yeah. I did knit this on my Knit Picks wooden fixed circulars. I think they're called Caspians. I think they're called Caspians. They're like a bluish green wooden needle. And those are US size 2.75 millimeters. But yeah, I really like this blanket. I say this is the wrong side. It's just because that's where I made sure all of my like little my magic knots were. But yeah, I just saved up yarn for like 4 years from knitting socks and sweaters and whatever. And then I think it took like 16 100-gram cakes of scrappy yarn. But yeah, my kids like seeing the socks or whatever project I made in there. My husband likes pointing out the things I've made. It's really cozy. And I'm trying to think, I wanted to say one more thing. Oh, for the magic knot, just to give them a little bit more like resilience, I guess. We live in a house with dogs who cuddle with the blankets, cats who cuddle with the blankets, kids who drag blankets around. For a little bit more resiliency on the knots here, I did use it's fabric glue. So you can find it at like Joann's, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, any craft store. I think I bought mine at Meijer's actually in the craft section. It's just a bottle about this big. I forget exactly what it's called. It has blue lettering on it and a blue lid. I basically just at every magic knot after I finish like, I don't know, 2 or 3 stripes on the blanket, because you knit them in chevron stripes and you add them as you go. So you add it like each to the, you know what I mean, right? Like you pick up stitches and knit it together and add it as you go. So as I did that, after I finished like 2 or 3 stripes, I would just add a little dot of glue on each magic knot and let it dry for like half an hour. And then I could pick it up and add more stripes. And that'll just give it some strength to those little magic knots. I trust them, but I also have children who play fort and thrash in the night with their blankets. So that'll just, you know, give it some structure. Okay. Those are all my finished objects, I believe. Right? We talked about the cardigan, the socks, the blanket. Yeah, so the only work in progress I have is another blanket. I'm sorry about all the coughing. I really am. I don't know, I might be allergic. The weather just changed. It's like 62 degrees and moist outside. So I don't know if I'm reacting to the weather or if I'm sick again. I don't know, but I apologize the voice and the coughing. But yeah, so this blanket I will show you. So fun. I am knitting this for my son. He requested a blanket for his birthday, which is coming up in a few months. So I said yes, because I like giving the kids things when they ask for something. Like my daughter requested a Christmas sweater and I didn't. She requested it a week before Christmas and I told her I didn't have enough time. So we were planning it for this year. So whenever the kids ask me for something, I try to make it for them because it's something they really want. But yeah, my son requested a blanket for his birthday. I said yes and immediately bought yarn. It is in my Great Wolf Lodge iridescent waterproof bag. It's a giant bag. It is made for like the beach and the water park, but it's really good for yarn too because it's waterproof and I can zip it up in there. I am knitting this blanket to be a full-size bed blanket, so about 74 inches by 84 inches. He does have a full-size bed that he sleeps on. And I am knitting it out of the Caron Anniversary Cakes. This colorway is Purple Fog. You can see there. I've got a loose end because I did a long tail cast on using 2 separate ends from each ball. So you don't have like to guess how much yarn you need. You just get the right end and then you snip it and weave it in. But yeah, so this is why this one is loose. But Caron Cakes and Purple Fog. This is 100% super bulky, I believe. 100% acrylic super bulky. Let's see. Yep, yarn weight 6, super bulky, 100% acrylic. And it's big. It's a big boy. It's 1,000 grams, 1,061 yards, 970 meters. It's a big cake of yarn. It's real big. My son picked out the color and I only ordered 2 because I wasn't sure how many I would need. And I didn't want to have one of these sitting around because it's huge and my yarn stash is not big anymore. They discontinued this. They discontinued it. So we're going to get as far as I can with the 2 I have. And then we might have to fade in some white or some gray yarn to finish up the end. Because they don't sell this anymore and that makes me sad. I feel like this has happened before with Caron Cakes. I feel like I was making something else and they discontinued the yarn and so I had to like fade in a different color. Maybe it was for a sweater. I don't know. Anyway, I love like giant things and tiny things. So I've been wanting to knit with one of these giant cakes for a long time. And then when my son asked for a blanket, it was the perfect excuse to buy giant cakes of yarn. So I am knitting these on my Knit Picks wooden interchangeables. I have wooden interchangeables as well as nickel interchangeables, and I felt like knitting with wood. So I usually, depending on what project I'm working on, I'll kind of like, I'll get the vibes based on which needles I want to use. But these are the Knit Picks wooden interchangeables. These are, I don't know if you can see, I forget which color. I know they come in several different colors. This one's like the purpley blue one though. These are US size 8, no, they're 8 millimeters. They're US size 11, 8 millimeter needles. And I'm just doing a basic garter ridge blanket with an I-cord edge. Yeah, it's squishy and he'll really like it, I think. I did a small gauge swatch for this, which usually I don't gauge because my gauge never ever matches my finished project ever, and I do it right. Like I knit in the round when I need to, and then I knit flat when I need to, and then I wash it and it never matches. I swear I have knit like 3 sweaters and I was a good girl and I gauge swatched, and then the final sweater didn't match the gauge, and so I don't gauge swatch. It hasn't bitten me yet. We've been pretty good. But, I mean, at this point, I'm pretty, like, solid with my knitting. Like, I kind of know what I knit with which weights of yarn and which size needles. So, knock on wood, it hasn't got me yet, but we'll see. One day it will. But, yeah, so I did a gauge swatch with these needles, with this yarn. I got about 3 stitches per inch. So, to get this to be 74 inches, I cast on 222. Yeah, and then the last 3 I just slip and then knit them on the next round to get the I-cord edging. Not following a pattern. It's just a big old rectangle, so you know. But yeah, that's my only work in progress right now. I need to probably cast on a sock. Oh, the spider's back. Oh, we have a spider. We have a spider. I'm right by our front window, and there's a big bush we have right in front of the window, and there were spiders that lived in the bush over the summer and the fall, and we haven't seen them all winter, but I see one now, and I'm very excited. Okay, sorry. Drink break. We took a break for the month of January for life things, so we are getting back into like extracurriculars this week and other things, so I do need to cast on a sock probably. Yeah. So yeah, that's it for the knitting. Let's chat about life stuff, I guess. What we've been watching, reading, doing. We did travel the last half week of December and the first week of January. We flew back to the Midwest, so we flew into Columbus, Ohio. We stayed in Ohio for a couple days to see family and friends, and then we drove down to Louisville, Kentucky to see family and friends, and then we drove up to Southern Indiana to see some family, and then we drove to Indianapolis to catch our plane back to home here in Western Washington. It was really good. I really enjoyed traveling and seeing friends and family, and it was just a really good time. We left a ton of belongings in the Midwest, so we're going to be sending like care packages that way so we can get some of our stuff back. It's fine. The kids traveled so well. My kids have always traveled okay, but this time, oh, it was awesome. We flew with United, so they had like the the screens in the back of the seat, so my kids could like flip through channels or watch the flight path. And then we also of course took like lots of snacks. We bought some activity books for them. We downloaded a bunch of books on my daughter's Kindle for her to read. Yeah, it was great. They traveled so well. They love airports, they love flying, they just love it all. So I see some traveling in our future. It was really just like rewarding to see my kids enjoy like figuring out where to go in the airport, and we would stop and say, look at the sign, like let's find our gate. Like they loved it. So I anticipate a lot more traveling in our future. It was great. Like they did so great on the planes. So anyway, we had fun traveling. We had fun seeing family. I did finish the socks on the plane. And then unfortunately my husband and my son got sick on the trip. They just had a stomach bug, but then we did get back from the trip, and my son picked up a cold, which then he gave to me, which then my daughter currently has, and then my husband is like I think he's in recovery now. So it's like slowly worked its way through all of us. So I was glad we took January off from like extracurriculars and doing stuff just to kind of recover. But yeah, what we've been watching our wrestling. We are on the road to WrestleMania. I'm very excited. So lots of like premium live events coming up. I've been watching a lot of sports. We've been watching football playoffs on the weekends. I've been catching up with Kentucky basketball. Go Cats. I graduated from the University of Kentucky, the University of Kentucky, and I graduated in 2013. So right after they won the national championship. Love Kentucky basketball, catching up on that. I've been watching some Seattle Kraken hockey when those teams playing. That's been really fun. I used to watch hockey a lot at UK, so it's been nice to watch hockey at home. And those colors are so good. The Seattle Kraken colors are so inspiring, and I really want to make a like smaller throw out of the Seattle colorways. It's so good. I don't need more blankets. I have this blanket, and then I'm working on a blanket, and then I have another blanket, but I want more blankets. So that'll probably happen. What else? Oh, reading. I have been reading quite a bit. I have finished Cruel Seduction by Katie Robert, which is a retelling of Hephaestus and Aphrodite. Very good. I really liked that. The newest book has come out in the series, but I have yet to get it because my library doesn't have a physical copy yet. I did also finish A Vampires of El Norte, as well as The Hacienda, both by Isabel Cañas. Excellent. Loved it. Vampires of El Norte, there was vampires and colonists, metaphors. So good. And The Hacienda was definitely Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Same vibes. But they are historical fiction horror books, but I loved them. They were so good. I have a degree in Spanish as well as psychology, so I studied a lot of like history of Latin America and Spain, as well as like literature of Latin America and Spain. So good. It just, I loved the books. I really enjoyed them. And House of Flame and Shadow came out at midnight and my Nook downloaded it. So I'm about 100 pages into that. I love that I'm reading that. I love being back in the Mossverse. So happy. So hooray. Yeah, I think that's it. We've just been sick and we've been recovering from being sick. That's why it took me so long to get a podcast out, because up until like this past week, I have not been able to breathe. So, yeah. Oh, the last thing that we've been up to, my husband, I briefly mentioned to him that I wanted to get into gaming on the computer with my sister. And he took that as the opportunity to be like, oh, well, I also want to build PCs. So he has built us a gaming PC, which is exciting. Yeah, I think we need like one more part for the inside of the PC, and then we need like a cord or two, and then I think it's done. Don't hold me to that because I am terrible with technology. And he is really great with it. He helped friends in college build computers. He can code in multiple computer languages. He was like 1 or 2 classes away from getting a minor in computer science. So he like loves technology and loves building technology and like reading about technology. And I'm not that person. So I'm trusting him when he's like, oh, it's done. So anyway, our gaming PC, so exciting. So I think that's it. Sorry for the coughing. Sorry for the rude voice. If you have any questions, drop them below. I'll answer them. But yeah, I'm so glad it's a new year. I've been podcasting for a year. That's exciting. And I've got like a lot of big plans for crafting for this year. And yeah, I hope that you stay along for the ride. So thank you so much. Until I talk to you again, I hope you take care of yourselves. I hope you're taking care of each other. And I am just excited that you're here. Thanks. Bye.